speaker,
Okay.
I think. Okay. All right, let's see. Is that better?
Is that
Yes,
better?
that's good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank y'all. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you. All right. So does anybody remember what a dray is? Please tell me you do. We have an answer? All right, I'm going to go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
A dray is a squirrel's nest.
Thank you. Yay! All right, so the challenge was last week to go out and count how many drays you could find. Did anybody do that? And if you did, how many did you find?
I found 4.
Somebody found 4. Oh, awesome. Awesome. That's great.
TNA found 3.
Found 3. Okay, and I hope you wrote that in your nature journals. That helps you to keep track, because think about this. This time next year, you could be in your nature journal and go, I've counted 7 drays. Well, if you count 7 of them, you got more squirrels around. So that's pretty cool. All right, but today we're going to be talking about things that eat squirrels. We're going to be talking about raptors of Western North Carolina. Now, there are a lot of raptors in this area, but I'm only going to specifically talk about a few. These on the first slide that you're looking at, this little guy over here is the American kestrel.
Hang on a second. I forgot to share my screen.
Oh, hang on.
I got it. I'm getting slow. Okay.
Got it?
And yes.
Okay. This guy, little guy over here, this real pretty one, that's an American kestrel. This beautiful bird right here, if you can tell by his shoulders, is a red-shouldered hawk. This next guy, big guy right here, is a red-tailed hawk. Below those two is a peregrine falcon. And this guy over here is a turkey buzzard. And I know you guys have seen a lot of those. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about a couple hawks that we find in this area. We're going to concentrate on the red-tailed and the red-shouldered, because those are the ones that you'll see most often. All right? So this is about the red-tailed hawk. Well, wait, let's go back. You have 6 species of hawks that you're going to find in North Carolina. Those are the sharp-shinned, the Coopers, the red-shouldered, the broadwing, the northern harrier, and the red-tailed. Okay, but like I said, we're going to concentrate on the red-shouldered and red-tailed today. The red-tailed hawk has got a real stocky body. He's got mottled brown feathers. If you look at the picture in the middle, you can see on his wings all those lines and spots, okay? He's got a rust-colored tail, all right? Hence the name red-tailed hawk. See how red his tail is? Okay, and he's got a big wingspan. So let's look at that with a tape measure. He's got a 48-inch wingspan. Okay,
Wow.
That's pretty big. That's with his wings completely spread out. The hawk itself is about 18 to 25 inches long. So that's about how big he is. That would be a big one. Okay. Where do you think these guys live? Anybody have a guess?
I do. This is Jonathan.
Go ahead.
Hawks, they prefer open spaces like grasslands, open fields, and you will sometimes find them in dead trees that are still standing.
Very good. Okay. I'm going to come back to you on that. That was perfect. Red-tailed hawks like a mix of open country and deciduous forests. What is a deciduous forest? What does the word deciduous mean?
Ooh, that's a big word.
Has something to do with the trees. Anybody
It's
know?
always green.
That's a good answer, but no, deciduous trees lose their leaves. So we're looking at trees that are hardwoods like oaks, birches, hickories, walnuts, those big, big hardwood trees. They like it in there, and they like the open fields, all right? One other thing I want to say about their description, guys, if you look at their beak, see that they've got a hook on it. And they also have very, very long, sharp claws, and there's a reason for that, and we'll get into that, okay? Now, the red-tailed hawk can adapt to urban areas, okay? Meaning it can live in neighborhoods. I have one that has territory in my neighborhood. They nest in my yard. So they're always hanging around. So they can adapt to any neighborhood as long as there's prey around for them, okay? They like to nest, and you can see this one over here. That is a red-tailed hawk's nest, and those are the babies. They like to nest about 30 to 60 feet above ground, usually in the crotch of a tree. Why do you think they like to be so high up off the ground with their babies?
So the babies are safe from predators like raccoons and snakes.
Very good, right, because if they were lower, the raccoons and the snakes would be eating their eggs. So yeah, so these guys put them way, way up in the tree there, okay? They do, when they feed, they do a thing called soar and scan, all right? So you'll see a red-tailed hawk up in the air, kind of just hanging out, looking around, but he's looking down at the ground because his eyesight is great, okay? So when he sees, perhaps, let's say, a mouse or a rat running around, he's going to do what this picture is doing. He's going to snap his wings in, and he is going to go down like a rocket, okay? When he gets closer to the ground, he's going to turn up like this middle picture, so his talons are out so he can snatch whatever it is off the ground, okay? They rarely miss their prey. They're that good. And they usually eat about 1 to 2 times a day, depending on how big the prey is that they catch, all right? Ms. Shauna is going to play a couple of videos here for us. The first one is a YouTube video that actually shows the red-tailed hawk. Or maybe it's this. This is what he sounds like, guys. Oh, this is a video, sorry. Isn't he pretty? These are very, very cool birds. I love these guys. And if you guys notice, he's got something red around his beak. That's food he's been eating.
He's a messy
He's
eater.
not very neat.
He's a messy eater.
Is that one over?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all righty. Eating, let's go on eating. They are diurnal and they're a carnivore. What does diurnal mean?
They're active during the day and they sleep during the night.
Very good. And what does carnivore mean? What do they eat?
They eat meat.
Yes, they eat meat. So they hunt during the day and they eat meat. What do they like to eat? They like to eat rodents, rabbits, amphibians, reptiles, and insects. So basically anything they can get their hands on that they can pick up, okay? They do like to perch on telephone poles and trees to look for food. So sometimes you'll see them out on the top of the tree, kind of hanging out, looking around. They live approximately about 10 years on average. And they do, I believe they do mate for life. So they're always going to have the same partner with them. Now, if Ms. Shauna would play that next link, we're going to hear what they sound like. And I know you guys have heard this before and might not have known what it was.
Do you want me to play the first one?
No, it's the second.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of,
Oh, yeah, let me see. Hang on just a second.
see how it's like got different colors.
Yeah, play the first one.
Let's see. Now, I will say this one scared me at first because it was really quiet. So just be ready because it made me jump.
Now, you guys have heard that before. I know you have. You want to play with it? Yeah.
Yes.
That's a cool sound. Anytime you hear that, that's a red-tailed hawk.
And in movies and things, lots of people take the red-tailed hawk's call and put it in movies for, say, eagles.
Eagles, right. You're right.
Really?
You're
Anytime-
exactly right.
Anytime you hear that,
Yeah, it's not an eagle, it's a hawk. Very
Yeah.
good. Very good.
and I don't know if the red-tailed hawks themselves would approve of taking their call and using it for other birds, if you know what I mean.
Probably not. I wouldn't. And I'd be insulted if I was an eagle.
Mhm.
All right, guys, now we're going to talk about the red-shouldered hawk. Okay? This guy is a little bit smaller than the red-tailed. So he's going to be, his wingspan is about 40 feet, which isn't tiny. But with his wings fully extended, that's about how long his wings are. And then his body, I say 19 inches average. So he's a little bit smaller than the red-tailed hawk, okay? His belly is reddish. You can see on the pictures here, and it's barred. Barred meaning it's got these funky little stripes going across it, okay? Yeah. Look at the barred belly, okay. He'll flap his wings more in flight than the red-tailed hawk. Red-tailed hawk's gonna soar more. This guy's gonna flap more, okay? His habitat is stream sides with open woods and small clearings. We just went over this. Why would he want open woods with a clearing in there? Anybody know?
To get a rodent.
To look for prey, exactly. If he's hiding in the woods, kind of looking sneaky like, those little mice are gonna come out and think, there's nothing out here. Yeah, he can see his prey perfectly, okay?
And unlike red-tailed hawks, they prefer woodlands, and red-shouldered hawks and falcons, they all have something in common. Because of their size, for falcons, because of their small size, they can easily maneuver around trees.
Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about the peregrine falcon in a minute. Yeah, they're amazing birds. They usually, what they do is they'll wait in the lower canopy, meaning the lower level of the tree, to look for their prey, whereas the red-tailed hawk prefers to be higher up, okay? They usually nest in large trees, just like the red-tailed hawk, and they use the same territory, which is about 100 to 150 acres year after year. So if you have one of their nests on your property somewhere, and you see these birds coming back every year, it's usually the same pair unless something happened to one of them, but they like to come back. They need riparian forests for habitat. What is a riparian forest? Does anybody know? Okay, a riparian forest is a forest that borders a stream, a lake, or a pond. It'll be a forest right up against like a river, anything like that. They prefer that, okay? The way to keep habitat for these guys is don't drain wetlands. If you drain wetlands, they're going to start moving away. Also, removing trees, they have nowhere to nest, so they got nowhere to stay. Their diet includes small mammals, frogs, snakes, and grasshoppers, so they're also carnivores. And let's go ahead and listen to what one of these red-shouldered hawks sounds like, because they're a little bit different.
That's not a screechy.
Right, that's not a
I like
screechy. And you would hear that and think, oh, that's probably some little bird somewhere. But yeah, it's got a very interesting little sound. Okay, so now we're going to look at this slide. This is how you can tell the difference between a red-shouldered hawk and a red-tailed hawk when they're flying above you. Okay, so What do we think this guy is right here, the top one?
Red-tailed hawk.
Yes, why?
Because of his red tail.
Right, you can see the red tail, right? The red-shouldered hawk, you're going to see the red more up here on his wings, okay? And if you look at the side-by-side pictures, this guy's got a bright red tail. I mean, it's hard to mistake. And what's really cool is when they're up in the air and the sun is shining through, that red comes out even more. Your red-shouldered hawk is going to have red shoulders. Makes sense, right? Okay. Okay, now this guy we're going to talk about, I like American kestrels. They're very cute. The American kestrels are North America's smallest falcon. Okay. 8.7 to 12 inches in length. So that's not very big.
Oh, they're tiny.
That's might be around the size of a crow.
Right. So it's about that big. That's the largest it could be, and that's about the smallest. So yeah, they are a lot smaller. The females are a little bit bigger than the males, but these are tiny, tiny birds. Their muscles are more adapted to ambushing rather than swooping really fast, okay? So they don't do a quick strike. They like to sneak up on their prey and then jump on them, okay? Their habitat, open fields and pastures with scattered trees. We've gone over this already. We know why. They like to sit up on those trees and look for their prey, especially these guys, since they don't have such strong muscles. They don't have the flight capability that another raptor would have. So they're conserving their energy. They're being all cool and mellow and just kind of hanging out and going, I see one right there. We're going to sneak up on, okay? They're a carnivore. They eat mice, voles, insects, lizards, and snakes. Let's see. Oh, when I was in school, we went out to Sandy Mush. You guys know where Sandy Mush is. There are kestrels out in Sandy Mush. And we had a nesting project where we actually got to go and examine the nest boxes to see how many kestrels were nesting. But I've seen several kestrels out there just sitting on fence poles. So if you ever want to try to observe one of these guys, try to get mom and dad to take you out and just drive nice slowly through Sandy Mush, and you might see some.
They're pretty.
Okay, they're beautiful birds. They're diurnal hunters, meaning they hunt during the day, and they're secondary nesters, okay? Think about it, secondary nest. What type of nest do they like? Anybody have a guess?
I have a guess.
Yeah, Miss Shauna's got a guess.
Does it mean that it's a nest that they didn't build, somebody else built it and they moved in later?
Bingo. They prefer to move into nests that somebody else has built. So
I'm a secondary nester too.
they're kind of lazy, but that's also kind of smart. They don't have to put all that effort into building a nest. They like woodpecker nests. They like squirrel nests. They like drays. They like cavities in trees. This is a nesting box right here. They also like barns, and they like cavities in buildings too, okay? And what's really cool about these guys is they hunt as a family.
Aww.
So when these babies get big enough to fly, they're going to take them out hunting with them. Why is that a good idea?
Because of their size?
Because of their size, okay. Would they know how to hunt coming out of the nest right away?
Of course. The parents need to teach them to hunt.
Right. The parents are teaching them basically. So they have a lovely family activity. They go out and they terrorize mice, which is kind of cool because they do need to eat. But I love kestrels, and you can tell their coloration. I mean, they're just beautiful. The stripes up here by the eye, the redness on them, and the spots, they're very easy to identify. You're going to see one of these and go, wow, is that a hawk? No, it's small. Must be a kestrel. All right, Miss Shauna, if you will play what a kestrel sounds like for us. That's an interesting sound, isn't it? It's a little tiny peeping sound. And just an FYI, the best place to go to learn bird calls is the online site for Cornell University's Ornithology Lab. They have the best bird calls, and if you guys do want to start bird watching, learning the calls is the best way. Because once you learn the call, you'll know what you're looking for and you know how to find them. But just for reference, Cornell University, their ornithology department, they have tons of calls in there and they're really, really well done. All right, this next guy, these guys are beautiful. This is a peregrine falcon, okay? They're about 13 to 23 inches long. So the largest one would be about that big. Smallest, about that big, okay? So they're pretty average size. They have a crow, who said that? They're about the size of a crow, okay? So if you look at a crow, peregrine falcon's gonna be about that big, and their head is covered with what looks like this hood, these beautiful dark feathers, okay? And their talons, says here that they're dark blue. I'm looking at the claws more than the feet. So yeah, the talons themselves, see the difference in color between the feet and the claws or the talons? That's how you'll know it's a peregrine falcon too. They've got a really long wingspan for a bird that size. Their wingspan is going to be 44 inches. So that's pretty big. That can carry that guy really, really far. They are state listed endangered. Does anybody know why?
Because of a poisonous chemical called DDT that's used to kill mosquitoes. It would get on their eggs, and every time the parents sat down to nest on the eggs, it made the shells very weak and they would just break with the slightest touch.
Exactly.
Wow.
Fortunately, DDT has been banned thanks to Rachel Carson. Rachel Carson wrote a wonderful book about the problems with DDT, and that opened up the eyes to the American government and finally said, hey, we need to make this go away because you're right. What was happening is the birds would eat prey that had DDT, insects that had DDT put on them. It would make, when they would lay the eggs, the shells would come out so fragile that if you barely touch them, they'd bust open. So yeah, so fortunately DDT is gone. However, we do still have the problems of habitat being destroyed. These birds need a huge area for their territory, okay? And they only nest once a year. So they have one shot every year to have babies. So that kind of limits it a little bit. Their habitat are tall mountain cliffs with unobstructed views of the area, okay? We have two reasons for unobstructed views. We all know the first one, it's for hunting. What would be the second one? And unobstructed means there's nothing in the way and you can see everything.
Why they need it?
Why do you think they would need, besides hunting, why would they need to be able to see everything around them?
So they can look out for dangers that might try to come harm the nest.
Perfect. They're looking out for predators as well. So these are some really smart birds, okay? They like to stay in ledges and small caves. Same reason, because they're inaccessible to predators. And those ledges and small caves are usually really high up. So for a predator to get there, they really want to be determined. And they're also sheltered from the weather too. Let's see. Whoop. Okay, and you can find these guys, Looking Glass Rock has a huge, well not huge, but it does have a peregrine falcon population. And sometimes they actually close that area down because the peregrine falcons are nesting. But if you want to see any peregrine falcons, Looking Glass Rock would be the best place to go. You know, just be respectful, you know, just kind of stand back and watch them, but you can see them out there. He is a diurnal carnivore. He eats during the day and he eats meat, okay? He likes small to medium-sized birds, but they'll take prey like fish, rodents, and they'll take it from other raptors. So if one raptor's flying through the air and he's tootling along and he's got his fish in his mouth and he's all happy, This guy could come up and snatch it right away from him. Basically, he'll bump him, he'll drop it, and then he'll catch the fish. Okay, when these guys nest, they make depressions or scrape in loose gravel, soil, or pieces of bark or leaf matter on ledges or small caves. So they'll kind of dig out a spot for their nest, but they're going to make sure it's inside or underneath something so those eggs don't fall out, they don't get eaten, and they aren't hurt by the weather. Okay? The male hunts for the young, and then the female feeds them. So the male goes out while the female tends the eggs. What's really cool about these guys, and that's this picture right here.
That's cool.
They can reach speeds up to 200 miles per hour when they are diving for prey. This is the fastest animal on the planet. Okay, now I know you're going to say cheetahs, but cheetahs are land animals, and they do go fast as well. This guy is the fastest. Okay, let's see. Oh, go ahead and play that. I think I have one in there of a peregrine falcon hunting.
Yes.
Look at his face. They're so cute.
The true superpowered king of speed is about to clobber one of these pigeons. A peregrine falcon may chase a pigeon in one of two ways. The first method is the flat-out chase. Sometimes it works, but pigeons are fast too. And when jostling back and forth with a peregrine in this mode, prey will occasionally slip away. When this happens, the peregrine can recalibrate and switch to method number 2. It's called the rapid stoop, the dive bomb. The attack begins slowly, then gradually picks up speed. Its wings tucked in, the falcon is approaching 200 miles per hour. It is now the fastest animal on the planet. Against this super-powered speed, the pigeon is defenseless. It's tough to hide from an attack like that.
Isn't that cool? I mean, that just impresses me to watch these guys and how they hunt. Okay, so we want to keep these guys around, all right? So how can we increase their chances for survival? What can we do just as being ordinary people? Question. Anybody know? All right, let me give you some ideas. Pesticides. Try to find something natural. And that's with a lot of things we've been talking about, right? Pesticides, yeah, they're great for getting all the pests out of your yard, but you have to remember that if mosquitoes are shot with pesticides and a bird eats the mosquito that has pesticide in it, what's it gonna do? Okay, so stop using pesticides. Natural pesticides are great, those are fine. But things like Roundup, that's not pesticide, but don't use Roundup either. All those wonderful things that have all those chemicals in it, they're really bad for the environment. The next thing, like I said, these guys are in Looking Glass Rock, and they do close that sometimes. They close it during breeding season. And they close it during breeding season because they don't want to disturb the birds. And also the third thing, and this is for any animal you want to help keep within the wild and keep around, keep their habitat. Let's try not to cut down all those trees and make those streams divert, everything else. Just keep things the way they are, okay? I'm not saying we shouldn't have progress. Of course we should, but let's do it more mindfully, all righty? Okay, so the next guy we're going to talk about, and you guys have seen these all over the place, okay? These are called turkey vultures, all right? These guys are big, okay?
And they could really use some deodorant and a shower.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. Okay, so their wingspan's bigger than me. This is their wingspan. Okay?
Wow.
It's 6 feet. You see that? All right, and the bird itself is about that big. Okay, so this is a big guy.
Yeah, I saw one in the middle of the road and
Yeah.
took up most of the road.
Oh yeah. This is a big guy. They do have blackish feathers, so they're all black, and you'll see the white underneath. The most distinctive feature is their heads are bare. Now, let me ask you this. Why do you think they don't have any feathers on their heads?
Because every time they put their head into a smelly carcass that they're eating on, if they have feathers on their head is going to get just messy.
Disgusting.
That's gross.
Exactly. That's why. These guys are carrion eaters, okay? They help clean up your roadkill. They help clean up all those nasty things out in the woods that are smelling really bad, and they like that. But that is why you'll see absolutely no feathers on their head, because every time if they stuck their head into a deer and started moving around and pulled it back out, all that gunk could be all over them. I wouldn't like that. So yeah, they probably don't like that at all. These guys soar. Very little wing flapping. You'll see them up in the air riding air currents. You see a bird up there just kind of hanging out, it looks pretty big, 90% sure it's a turkey vulture, okay? Because that's how they roll, all right?
And another way to
Go ahead.
identify them, if you see them at the right angle, their wings, when they're out riding air currents, their wings, they slightly tilt upwards.
Yeah, they do, because they're catching those currents. Yeah, it's like if you've seen those guys at the beach that are riding those big parasail things or the big kites, kind of like that. They don't have a voice box, so they're very silent. They're quiet. They can make hisses or grunts, but they usually do that within the nest, okay? Their habitat, they like deciduous forests. What did I say deciduous meant?
They change, the leaves change.
Yeah, deciduous are the ones that the leaves are going to drop. Your hardwood trees, okay? They like deciduous forests, but you know, and you'll see them circling sometimes. You know why they're circling? There's something dead down there, so they're preparing for their evening meal. Okay. All righty, they have very weak beaks and talons. So that's why they really don't hunt like other raptors. They don't have the strength in their talons to take something down or in their beak to, you know, pull apart live prey. They like their meat a little seasoned, let's say.
And
Okay. So they are carnivores. We know they eat roadkill, but that's good. They're scavengers. I mean, if we didn't have them around eating up all these dead animals, that'd be kind of gross, you know? They are diurnal feeders, meaning they're out during the day only. They nest in caves, hollow trees, or fallen hollow logs. Here's some babies right here. They're ugly, but they're so cute.
The babies are cute.
Yes, and here's another example of a nest. And then, of course, we have a guy over here eating a really stinky shark. They do have they have excellent eyesight, and they have an excellent sense of smell. Hence, roadkill is going to smell after a while. That's why they're on it so quickly, because they can smell it. They don't fly very well at night either. That's why they're basically out during the day. Now, they have a really cool defense system. Does anybody know what that is?
if something is threatening them, they will vomit on it.
These
Yes.
things are
They
gross.
projectile vomit. Once again, let's tell you an experience I had. I used to do some volunteer work at a zoo down in Florida, and I would go out on feeding runs for the birds. Well, we had a vulture there named Vincent, and Vincent liked me. And the reason I knew Vincent liked me was when I would go in his cage to give him his food, he'd throw up a little bit. And the reason he was doing that is he wanted to share his food with me.
Oh.
So yes, they like to vomit, and they will projectile vomit to keep predators away. Now, if a predator came after you and you projectile vomit, do you think that thing would go away?
Most likely.
Yeah, I think so too. If I was a predator, I wouldn't want anything to do with it. All right.
Unless
And
it's a
also the projectile vomit. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
unless it's a king vulture, they are known to on purposely make a vulture vomit, and they will have
Do
a
they-
meal out of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's warmed up that way.
Well, I was hungry for lunch, but
The other reason they also vomit when something's chasing them, it lightens them up, which means they could take off a little quicker. So there are two reasons for the projectile vomiting. Let's see. Okay, another weird fact about turkey vultures is if they get too hot, they will urinate on their legs to keep themselves cool.
these guys are disgusting.
So yeah, turkey vultures are pretty gross, but they do serve a great purpose within the ecosystem.
It's true.
Okay, but yeah, I wouldn't be touching any of them. Okay, here are some books we have on raptors in our system. You can definitely go on and get more. Like I suggested, go to the Cornell Cornell University Ornithology site if you're interested in birds and want to learn more about them. They have so much free material in there that it's just phenomenal. Okay. So now, guys, I have a challenge for you next week. Please do the challenge. It'd be awesome if you did. North Carolina does not have a state raptor. So I want you to think about it and think, what raptor would you choose to be North Carolina state raptor? And we don't have to, it doesn't have to be one of the ones we talked about. If you have one that you like that's in the state, let me know. I want you guys to let me know why next week you chose that raptor. I hope you're still going on iNaturalist and logging all your stuff, and I really hope you're keeping up with your nature journals, because that is the best source of scientific data, not only for Madison County, but for yourself. Because if you guys plan on going out and studying biology, zoology, becoming a naturalist, those are the tools you're going to need. And I hope you do keep doing that, because we need a lot of people around here caring about our environment. Because if we care about it for the animals, it's going to do great stuff for us too. Okay, so I will see you guys at the next broadcast. I believe we're going to be talking about reptiles. And
Miss Kathy's favorite.
yes, yeah, well, actually amphibians too. But no, we're going to talk about reptiles next week or next time. And you guys continue to record in your nature journals. I'm so happy to hear how much you know about all this stuff, and I want you to keep sharing it with me. I think that's great. So you all have a lovely Thanksgiving. Be safe, eat lots of food, and I will see you all next time, okay?
Bye, everybody.